Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Nobody is there.
Yes, ma'am. We are we are talking to the college, ma'am. 5 minutes.
They have agreed that they will take the session.
For this week, they have agreed. So once we'll cross check, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, actually students were not there in the college, it seems, ma'am. We are trying to communicate with the college management
Hmm.
from the students, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, give us 5 more minutes.
Yeah, no issues. You tell me when to start.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I start?
Sorry, madam. No, none of the students have joined. Hello.
Yeah, then college, why did they say that they will attend? No, because
Yes, the
my
same thing.
voice
We are trying to
Huh?
call them.
Again, they are not listening.
Huh?
Hello.
Yeah.
Actually, yesterday they had confirmed that they will attend. But
Yeah.
today they are not at all receiving the
I
calls.
think 2-3 students have joined.
Yes, ma'am.
You can just spread the message. I will start. Let
Sure,
them.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Fine. So I'm starting. Arinakshi ma'am has told me that student wants session on AWS. So I'm just keeping very basic of AWS. That how if a person want it is for everybody. It's not only the people who are basically into AI or something. They don't want to be in this. Everybody today use AWS because see, when I speak to the students who are doing software engineering, they are the people whom the company have given an account in AWS to work on the various kind of developing tools and all those kinds, right? So basically, every student, including the computer or engineering and non-engineering student, should at least have an idea about how to start and what are the benefits. So people don't know actually that AWS is so useful. So we are going to start very basic level that what is the AWS thing, what we can do with AWS, and how simple it is, though it may look to people that it is very complicated, but it is not. Anybody at any time can actually use AWS. So let's see that. Just give me a few seconds. I'll just put it into the view. Okay, let's start now. So students, first I will just talk about the basic concept of AWS. And this particular course is also very important in point of view that how I prepared this course is basically from AWS Skill Builder. So AWS today is a skill. It is not a knowledge. And every student, whether they are doing engineering, whether they're doing artificial intelligence, or are they doing the, any kind of a IoT, or they've taken anything, or even if they have not taken any engineering subject also, they should know about AWS. It is so important in our life. So Amazon Web Service, if you know Amazon Web Service, some companies will use Microsoft Azure also, but AWS is widely used by industry. So every IT company, right from Accenture to Cognizant to any Deloitte or any company you name, I have students in all these companies, and they always tell that, ma'am, our company is giving us account. We are sitting at home and we are working with the help of AWS, and we are working and doing all our work, whether it is to develop a particular software, or it is basically to work with a tool. Whatever they are doing it with the AWS. And even for the people who have small business and they want to have a IT infrastructure. So nowadays, nobody from big company to small company doesn't want to take a pain of installing a particular software and installing, basically trying to come up with a kind of AWS structure. With the infrastructure on IT. So nobody wants to invest in IT. Everybody wants something which is very easy, which anybody else who are expert in it can look into it. So all these kinds of things have made AWS or the cloud computing a very, very important platform. Okay, students. So just give me a few seconds. Okay. So when I'm talking about AWS, why AWS is popular among cloud computing? AWS is a cloud computing platform, what I am talking about. So why AWS has become so popular among all the services, like from Google computing to Microsoft Azure Computing, from IBM. AWS has become powerful because of the wide range of services it offers, because of the pricing model, which is very cheap and affordable by all, and also because of the the kind of the kind of scalability you can do from small business. If you're becoming a big operation is scaling up, that time also you can basically try to use the AWS, and you can try to utilize that particular function. So AWS offers a massive range of service for every business, starting with a small business with a particular shop, and you require a computing service, you require a storage to store your file, your customer file, your invoice, your database, your everything in that. You require network security tool to secure so that nobody steal your data from you. From these simple tasks of storage on computing to a complex solutions for a big companies who are using blockchain, machine learning, artificial intelligence, robot, IoT. So it has from simple tool to specialized tools, like video production management, those people who want to be in videos, or those who want to be in the marketing or in the artist line, they can be in the video production. They can use AWS platform. Government use AWS platform to get the images from satellite. So basically, in a simple language, if you talk, it is a kind of a very simple cloud computing platform. So among all the modern computing platform which is available, AWS work on something which is called client server model. Every cloud computing work on client server model. So client server model means, server means what? A computer which is serving somebody, which is giving service to somebody. So just like a waiter who is taking an order from a customer and serving that customer with whatever order the customer. So what a waiter does, he will ask the customer what customer want, and the customer say out of the menu that I want this, this, this. And the waiter will bill that particular customer only for what the customer has ordered. It is a very simple thing. And the customer pay for only the item which they have ordered and had consumed. So this coffee shop example is a real world metaphor for understanding AWS students. So that I thought I will take this example. So this particular coffee shop where a waiter takes an order from customers, the waiter is a server and customer is a client. So server is serving a client with a service, and they can be, now it is not only the coffee shop is selling the coffee, they are selling the coffee on different varieties. Along with the coffee, they know that people who will not come for a coffee would like certain kinds of fast food snack also. So they might be serving donuts, some kind of ice creams, or some kind of sandwiches, any fries or anything along with that. So in the computing world, this request can come in the other form. That how do you go and give request? So for example, you in a computing world, you want to analyze a rain pattern, how a rain is forming. See, some of us, the common people, will say that what is to study in the rain? So in the South Africa, where the rain is really very dense and very, very problematic, so you basically try to understand the rain pattern. You can also use computer services for understanding X-ray of your knees. To understanding, like for example, if a normal person see this X-ray of a knee, he will not even able to make out whether this particular bone is a knee bone or it is a elbow bone, and it will not be able to find out any kind of a problem or issues with that. Only an expert can find out that. Similarly, there are a lot of somebody wants to create a reel, maybe a video of a kitten or a cat, something like that. So whatever service, from a very specialized to a very simple task, a particular customer want or make a request, that particular request is served by the server. Just like a waiter who can take and who can't tell the customer that I will take only complex order or I will take only simple order. You can give me an order of a simple coffee, or you can even just buy a simple water bottle for me. I will serve you that. Or you want to buy a complicated sandwich or a salad or something, that also I am ready to serve you. So similarly, students, AWS basically try to serve a customer who makes a request, or whether whatever kind of, just a minute. So it is basically to any kind of request, simple request to complex request. Every request is basically served by a client server model of AWS. So AWS basically work on something called a client server model. Today in this session, I will talk, because already in one of the session, I have already shown you that what are the different kinds of services you can get in AWS. That again, I will show you today. But three major services, what I'm going to tell you. So basically what happens is, the client server model is a model which is used by cloud computing, where the company who's providing a cloud computing is a server. They use server to serve the different people for their need, whether it is a simple need or it is a complex need on computing world. So they provide infrastructure, whether it is in the form of hardware or it is in the form of software. So one of the major service and very popular service which AWS use is called Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. So today, student, I am going to teach you, very simple it is. It's not at all complicated. It is called EC2. Most of the company are using this. This is nothing. EC2 is a virtual, what we call the virtual server. So virtual server, when we talk about virtual server, it is just like if I go to a restaurant and made a request to a waiter, and the waiter is a server to me. He is giving the service to me, and the waiter take my request, and if the waiter also try to understand whether the request what you are asking or order what you are placing is the order which is available with them or not. Suppose you go to a coffee shop and you say that, I want biryani, and the coffee shop doesn't serve biryani. So the coffee shop the waiter will know about it and will say whether we can serve you with that or not. So she will give a response whether this is available or not. So applications which can be hosted on the servers, your own server, or on a company, other people's server, that is something which we do in EC2. So what we do is, one more example I can give you. For example, you come to me and you say that I want to develop a particular software, but I don't have a computer. I have a very basic model of computer with a 2 MB or maybe let's say 4 MB RAM and a proper normal dual core processor, and memory size is also this, but I don't have a software. I don't have a proper hardware configuration to develop that particular software. So I don't want to invest. I just will use that computer only to develop a particular software. And for that, I need a particular configured hardware, computer. I need a computer which has a particular configuration in terms of hardware and software. So what should I do? Will you buy that? Will the company buy and give these kinds of computers to all their developers? No, the company today, none of the company does this. Every company basically give, the student, every company basically gives, every company basically give a AWS account to their developer and tell them that these are the services you use, we will pay for it. Okay. So Amazon Web Service is considered as one of the best. Reason being, it has a pricing model which is called pay as you go. That means how much you are utilizing, for whatever time you're utilizing, you're paying for that much. You go to a restaurant, you eat one coffee, you drink one coffee and one donut with that. You pay for one donut and one coffee, and you sit for that time and you go. You will not be asked that, sir, you will come again tomorrow. Again, you will drink one coffee and one donut. So please, can you give for tomorrow also? So you will say that the day I come and I drink or I eat whatever I eat, I will go give for that much. So similarly, Amazon Web Service is very, very flexible. And that's the reason it's called Elastic Cloud. That means how much you are using, that much only you are paying. So one day you use less, other day you use more. So whatever you're using, you're paying. Now, what do we do with the Elastic Cloud? EC2 is a kind of a virtual server. As I was telling, that I have employed you and I told you to make a software for me. You have a basic computer. You are working from home. You call me and say that, can you provide me a computer with this hardware configuration and this software installed so that I can develop the solution which you have asked for me. But I have to now invest and give you that. Why should I do it? Because this will be only one time use. After that, maybe I may not use it. So better to get a platform where a platform can give me a computer which has these configuration which I want, and I can use it for the time I want to use and leave it. Are you understanding? So what AC2 does, it will create a virtual server or a computer for you. So what I'll do is, let's say I have one more option. I will tell you, you are my employee. Okay, you want this computer with this configuration and software, you don't have it, I have it. What I will do is, you connect to me on my computer using WebEx or any kind of a collaborating tool like AnyDesk, and I will give you access to my computer hardware as well my software. So you use my computer, from your computer, you access my computer hardware and software. So what you're doing, you are using your computer to connect to my computer, and my computer hardware and software you're using from a remote place. That's called virtual server, students. And this is the beauty of cloud computing, that you can create virtual server, work with that particular server, and do whatever you wish for any amount of time and pay for that much. So I will give you a practical of that. It's very, very simple. It's not at all complicated. And all of you should know that, because today every company, IT and non-IT companies, are using EC2 model, where they are basically creating a virtual computer or using a virtual computer on AWS platform. So as I already told you that every cloud computing platform, especially AWS, use client server model. Client server model means AWS is a server which is serving you and you are the client, just like a restaurant where the waiter is a server and you are the client. And whatever you ask, the waiter serve if they have that service, right? So that is the AWS. Now, what is the benefit of cloud computing? Why you should buy or have an account in AWS and pay for it? As I said, that you are paying only for the service what you're using. So it is an expense again. So why you should do it? You should do it. The benefit is that you have, if suppose, imagine a situation where you have to set up a data center. Obviously, you need 1 server, 2 server, 3 server, 4 server, depending on the scale of your operation. You need a physical server, a computer with a certain configuration where you will store your data, where you will host your application program. So these expenses are variable expenses. Why variable? Because it may not remain fixed. It may vary because your need may vary. Today you need, let's say, 25 GB of data, memory to store your data. Tomorrow you may need 30, 35, 40, 50. Or maybe sometime your business is not doing well. You may not need 35, you may need 10 GB of data is enough. But you've already, when you purchase, you've already purchased those things and you've invested, which is a dead money. So investing heavily into servers, infrastructures, data center and server is a foolish thing today. So by looking into the cloud computing approach, that offers a benefit of various kinds of things. So stop spending money to run and maintain your data center, to host your application, to store your data. Everything today, every big company to small company are using AWS or cloud computing to store their data, to create their data centers, and they manage and save their money on not wasting it unnecessarily on infrastructure and servers physically. So they can do that. So benefit of cloud computing is the ability to focus on tasks rather than the hardware or the machineries. It also have certain time it happens, students, that you basically will have, so let's say you have two computers at one time. Maybe let's say that you want to use a virtual computer and you've hired a cloud computing service. Let's say your college is hosting your attendance data on a virtual computer by the third party. When you are hosting that data, your college has, let's say, 500 students. Next year, your college will have 800, 1000 students. If your number of students are increasing, then in that case, what happens? The space you require on the server will also be more. So what happens? You go and tell the person, third party, that now I have one, initially I was giving for 5,000, I have for 1,000 students data to be stored. So your requirement may vary. And now your, outsourcing partner or the person who's giving you this particular service, he will not say that, he will ask you that, can you please approximately tell me that every year how much you will increase or how much service more you will be needing? Because I have a limited space, and that space, out of that space, I have given you some part. If you tell me in advance that every year, whatever you want, I will keep that for you. Then you will say that I can't guess that how many students admission I will get next year. So this is where the AWS is very flexible. So today you have 500 students data. Tomorrow, if you have 1,000, you can extend. It is elastic. Let's say you have less now. Some years you have less. The number of students have become less. That time also you can shrink the place. You can shrink. So you are paying only. So it is an on-demand service. Then you can go global in a minute. AWS Cloud will enable you to deploy your application at a global level. That means the application which you have hosted and which is used by all your employees, which is on AWS Cloud, and everybody from anywhere can use. So you can make it global. Your person who is in London, or maybe you have one person who can access your service from anywhere, from any part of the world. You can make even customer access your service. You can host an e-commerce platform. So AWS global infrastructure is one of the best in the world. Okay, I'm not promoting, I'm not working for AWS, but I personally found that AWS is one of the best. So we can actually also know that cloud computing is an on-demand delivery of IT resources over internet, as I already told you. And this has as pay-as-you-go pricing. So on-demand delivery means AWS will charge you only for the resources you need and you use. It will not charge you anything in advance. So, for example, suddenly you find yourself needing 300 virtual computers, right? Let's say you want suddenly you have a big project which has come to you, and it's a temporary project for 6 months and 7 months. And for that project, you require 300 servers. Either there is a way that you buy them. After the project is over, these 300 servers or computers are not required. So 300 computers which you have bought is a waste. So what you do is you just go and also, let's say at the same time you require 2000 terabytes of storage. You presently doesn't have that kind of storage space. So what you need to do is you can go to Amazon, you can increase the storage, you can create 3000 virtual machines, and you can use for 6 months when your project is happening. And once the 6 months your project is over, you stop using and you pay only for that. Isn't it it's easy and too inexpensive? When we are talking about cloud computing, we also have to understand, and SQL data, you all know about SQL, that if you have a SQL server today, most of the computing thing is that there are no SQL, MySQL database. So MySQL course also you people can take. So MySQL engine is also better if you have a AWS platform. You can run that also on the AWS platform. Okay. So that is also one of the benefit. I will not talk much about it. Maybe I don't know whether you know about it or not. Let's understand what are the deployment model. What are the different kinds of model which is used in AWS? So AWS has actually 3 models: on-premises, hybrid, and cloud model. Okay. So cloud-based model will run your application on the company server from anywhere. Right? You don't have a specific location. So you have an application program. Let's say your college is running attendance application program. And that attendance application program is developed and managed by a software developer. That software developer will put your attendance management application program on Amazon Web Service. Or let's say during Corona, your college want to conduct online exam. Now your college either have 2 ways to do that. One, they will have to buy physically all the server because they may have some 2,000, 3,000 students, and it is not easy to conduct an exam online for all these 2,000, 3,000 students at the same time, because there will be a kind of a denial of services. Your server capacity will not be able to handle so many students connecting to the server at the same time. So what is the next option? Your college will develop the questions or MCQ the teachers will give, and that will be employed in a particular application program meant to conduct MCQ exam, which will have a timer, which will have a mentor, which will have a camera operation to see whether the person is looking here or there, or whether the camera is on or not. It will have an audio recording, whether somebody is telling the answer because you're sitting at home and doing this exam. It will have a kind of an option to show you how many questions you have attended and all. So all those are application program. Your college will host it on AWS or on any of the company who can allow them to host their application. So either there are 2 things: one, they will develop the application and just host it on some on AWS, or what they will do is they will ask the cloud computing company itself that you develop the application and you host and you run it, and whatever data is, whoever is connecting to that application program, how many students are connecting, whatever data is collecting, store that in your cloud. So isn't it very easy and cheap way to manage your IT? So you can build a higher level service to lower level service, and in this you are reducing the management cost, you are reducing the scaling requirement, you are actually not investing in the core infrastructure. You just need to create a virtual server and host your application on that. You can do anything. So Amazon basically provide these main services. There are many services. It comes into 3 categories: compute, storage, and one more is there. But here, if you see here, the Amazon major service is EC2, Elastic Cloud, which I'm going to talk and give you a demo today on that. And then S3. So I'm going to talk about these 2. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about S3. Even student S3 is so useful that you can take it, make it. I have created an account and I've paid 2 rupees only for the entire year. And with this 2 rupees, I can store n number of data in S3. If I store this data in my computer, if my computer hard disk crash or something happens, I lose all data. If I put it in external data, that can also, I can lose that data. But if I put it in S3 bucket, I will retain it till the time I'm using it. And these are all free service, which I will show you a demo. Okay. So what I can do is I can take a service where I can host my application program on Amazon Web Service Cloud. And I can run that from there. Second one is on premises. On premises means some people say, no, 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 I want to see the entire, I want to use a computer which, you give me a computer, whether it is a virtual computer, and I will try to, uh, run my application program on that computer from my system. So I don't want to host it. I don't want to store and host it in your server. I want it to run it from my own server through your server. So that's called on premises. So you have hosted your application program. What your college will do, they will have the attendance or maybe the exam on their own server, and from their server they connect to AWS and run that app. So your hosting is done in the college computer, and from the college computer they will connect it to AWS virtual machine and run this for you when the exam time comes. So in this way, you keep your application with you on your premises. You also collect all the data. You are just using the cloud platform to run that particular application. Because when you are running from your own server, it may have denial of service problem. But when you are running the same application program using the cloud computing, you are not hosting and you're not storing there. That case, it's called on premises. And the next one is called, so you're keeping your data and application with you. Hybrid one is both the combination of cloud and hybrid. So it can also be called private, public, and combination of that hybrid. So you can connect a cloud-based resources on your premises infrastructure. You can integrate both, right? And you can use sometime cloud-based and sometime your on-premises. So that's called the thing. So, for example, a company wants to use cloud service that can automate batch data processing, analytics. So company will use application program, which they will not give it to the AWS. They will keep it in their server. What they will do is they will ask the employee to use the Amazon virtual machine and connect to the company server through that and run that application program. So whatever you are running the application program on some other computer, but you're hosting the application program in your own computer. So those are called a hybrid kind of model. One of the advantages is that you can run this program 24/7 without any interruption. You can increase the capacity. There will be no denial of services. There will be no error. There will be none kind of inconvenience cost. Your business will run 24/7. These are the major services which AWS provide. EC2, which I'm going to explain today, RDS, then Connect, then Amazon Virtual Private Network, your load balancing. This is also very good services. The e-commerce company on a big billion day, Flipkart use Amazon Web Service only on the big billion day sales, where their traffic is more than double. So they need more servers. So they will use elastic load balancers. Then S3. So I will be teaching you these two, EC2 and S3. So let us look. When you are creating an account, students, Amazon has their region or their data center across the world. So they have a lot of region where their data centers are there. So they have a very big infrastructure. And you can see they have a data center which is already existing and some upcoming zones are there. For India, we normally use Mumbai, So Asia Pacific, Mumbai. You can actually use any of this zone and store your data. Any of these data center can be chosen by you. Not necessarily you are in India, you will use Mumbai. But typically people have a perception that if I'm in India, I will use. So I can use US East and I can keep my data here. So Amazon doesn't give you a restriction that you have to use. So these are the geographical location where Amazon data centers are there, like Virginia and all, California. They are very transparent. They tell you that where the data center is. And out of these 6, 7, you can choose any of the data center and you can use a virtual machine and store your data there. So let us look into the Amazon Elastic EC2, which I'm going to explain you. You remember I told you about a coffee shop and employee. So coffee shop is a metaphor of the waiter is a server and customer is a client who's giving order, and whatever his order is given, the waiter is validating whether they have that order or not, and responding to the customer and taking the money for whatever they are charging and giving them that particular service. So when you are in a business, whether you are in healthcare or you are in manufacturing, you are in insurance, you are in the marketing department making video content, or you are making a simple reel on Instagram, all these will be using this model of EC2 to deliver your product, your data to end users, right? So even Instagram will also use, which is Facebook, company. So you need a raw computing, platform, a machine to create these products or services for the customers. So EC2 create virtual servers, right? So what does EC2 do? It will create a virtual server of whatever configuration you want. You want a CPU of certain category, you want a memory with a certain size, you want a storage capacity computer, you want a GPU, you want an enhanced networking. So whatever you wish, I'll show you how you can do that. Whatever operating system you want, you can take that. So EC2 is very flexible, cost effective. It is, very, when you compare to run the other services, it was one of the best. It can save your time and money. It can run for 24/7. You can do any kind of simple task to complex task on this. You can rent any kind of a hardware on EC2. You can use it for 1 week, multiple week, months, and you can deliver a service to your client through EC2. So EC2, in short, create a virtual machine, a computer. It gives a computer virtually to you with a certain configuration for a certain time, so that you can work on it. And whenever your work is done, you can just leave that machine. Okay. So that is the one thing which is there. What happens if you buy that machine? You are actually, if you buy a particular configured machine which you require, for example, you are developing a game, you required a machine with a certain GPU, certain kind of a CPU, certain memory size, certain hardware, some kind of operating system platform, let's say Unix or Linux. You have to install that. You need some kind of a application tool or developing tool to do that. For all these, it will cost. So it will become very easy for you if you are renting it. So what happens here? If you buy that machine, whatever machine you require, and you create a huge server out of it, you are stuck with it. Even though when you don't require it, you are stuck with those kind of things, and you feel that, my machine is wasted. I wasted so much of money, but now I don't need it. What should I do with it? So EC2 will make it easy for you to get it started. So what AWS does, it take a look at your requirement and build a machine for you, which is secure. Again, security is one of the basic issues, and give you that machine for the time you want to use it. And it is not like that. For example, one particular week, you want a machine with certain configuration, Linux, Mac operating system, and certain GPU, certain memory size, certain security, and certain, and you give access to some of the employee to that with certain keywords or password. You did all those things. And after that, once you stop using it, it will retain that particular configuration in your account, in your dashboard. Again, next time when you come, you don't have to configure. You have that particular machine which is available. You just go and activate and start running it. So these creating a virtual machine with certain configuration, hardware as well as software, is called instances in EC2. So you create instances. One instance is one virtual machine, and that is also called virtualization in the world of world of this. So you create a lot of instances. You can create, maybe one time you required a Mac operating system with Mac configuration. Second time you required server operating system with certain GPU and certain memory size, certain CPU, certain network capability. Next time, so you can create n number of machine, And whenever you want to use it, you use it. When you are not using, you're not paying for that. So these are called instances. So every instances is a virtual machine in a computer. So when you use a virtual machine, and how do you do that? And how does a particular virtualization happen? I don't know how many of you know that the virtualization is happening because of some application called hypervisor. Hypervisor running on a host machine. That means AWS hypervisor, which runs on the host machine and is responsible for sharing the underlining or whatever you have described or whatever physical resources you want as a visual machine, or between a virtual machine and from the laptop from where you are connecting to that virtual machine. So hypervisor does that kind of a sharing. So idea of sharing underlying sharing the hardware and the software of some other company is also called multi-tenancy in the world of cloud computing. So hypervisor is basically responsible for coordinating different machines which are connected. Your laptop with the virtual machine, or 2-3 virtual machines which are working simultaneously and developed and in coordination. And all these are managed by AWS. So hypervisor is responsible also for isolating one virtual machine from the other, and whatever resources you are sharing with the host. Host is your AWS. So EC2 instances are very secure. It will allow you to share the resources, and EC2 instance is not aware of any other EC2 instance on the other host. So that kind of security also it will provide you. Okay. So flexibility, controlling, security, everything is a feature. It's a blend of all these things. So you can configure, you can run any application, you can run any operating system, any software on these instances. You can configure any kind of hardware. You can increase the size of the memory, decrease the size of the memory, increase the storage capability in any instance. So when you start a particular instance and you realize that application you are running on that particular instance, I'll just come to it, for let me first finish this. So whenever you are starting a particular instance and you create a virtual machine with certain configuration, and that particular virtual machine, when you are running, it will give you now the second machine, one more machine you want, it need to have Linux operating system working on it. One machine you are using Windows Server operating system, other one you're using Linux. So can you use in the same instance? No, what you'll do is you can create a number of instances, one machine with Linux, one machine with Windows operating system. And you can also do one thing, in one virtual machine, you can run one application, other virtual machine, you can run other application. So like this, you can configure whatever software you want. You can run it on the instances, whatever operating system you want, you can run on the instances, you can select that, and your own internal business application, like your apps, your simple or complex app, your database, third-party software, like you are running a ERP software like Tally and all, you can have a complete over on the EC2 instances. And you can resize it, as already I told you, whatever kind of CPU you want, you can configure that on the EC2. So these virtual machines which you create through EC2 instances are very, very useful, and many company uses it. So you can see here now, we have learned that every EC2 instance is one virtual machine with a particular hardware and software configuration. Let's talk about different type of EC2 instances which are available on thing. So let's take the example of a coffee shop again. So remember that EC2 instances are like your employees who are serving the client request. If we want to have a cafeteria that can serve a lot of customers, okay, and then we are probably going to need multiple employees. Suppose you have a small coffee shop, and here you can have 1 or 2 waiters and 1 cashier, okay. But if you are increasing your, if you are, increasing the size of your coffee shop, and you have number of customers increasing, then 1 or 2 waiters is not enough. People will have to wait for a long time to get their order, and they may not like to wait, they may go somewhere else. Okay. So what you will do is you will hire more staff to serve the more number of customers. So we also need to, and also you need specialized. For example, you added few more item to your cafeteria, and you want chef with those kind of a skill set so that they can make those. For example, you have now a chef which can make any kind of a coffee and sandwich. Now you are offering along with the sandwiches also biryani. Then you want a particular chef who knows how to make different kinds of biryani. Okay. So that is where the instances are in work. So that means what? In AWS, you can have variety of instances or virtual machine with different configuration, serving different customers with their need. Okay. So you can have that variety in your menu in a cafeteria like that. So like you can see here, you have general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized. So you have 5 types of instances which you can create. General purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, accelerated, and storage optimized. General purpose are very, very suitable for compute, memory, and network. So if you want to use a particular virtual machine for gaming, run your gaming application, or you want a high performance computer machine where you're running a scientific and pharmaceutical application, then you require compute this kind of a general purpose instances. Similarly, the next one is called memory, the generic optimizer. Generic is for anybody who want a general purpose computer to run any kind of application. Then you have this third kind, which is called the memory based. So the memory optimized, when we're talking about memory optimized instances are good for where you require an intensive memory task. So those kinds of thing you require, where you require a good RAM size to run your application program through CPU. So in that cases, you will require a memory optimized instances. Okay. And then you require something here which is more about storage. So these are certain kinds of instances which you can create. This is not so important. You can scale up, as I said, that there is an auto scaling feature which is there in EC2. So if you have a data where you're serving, like for example, if you see this, January you served these many customers, and then 227, suddenly 481. And then between January and July, in certain months, you serve more than 507 customers. But then again in the December, so what is your average customer base? So if you want to serve on the basis of you want to use a particular server or a memory size or a storage capability based on average customer or average business, then you may go for a physical device, or you can have a device which you can buy and you can run on it. But if you want to know and you have estimated that every month 10% increase is there can be 10% increase or 10% decrease. If you have estimated from past few years data, then in that case, then also you can go for your own infrastructure. But what if you don't have any prediction? If you don't know anything, and that's how the business is very dynamic. In a competitive world, today you have a demand, tomorrow you won't. Or maybe today you don't have a demand, tomorrow you will have. So tomorrow maybe your season, or you may have off season and you may on season. So you never know what is the peak demand period. You can estimate that, but you don't know that. So in that case, the cloud computing or EC2 cloud will become much help for you, because you can save on your investment and you can get better return on your investment. So like about a sales girl, as I said, is serving 2 customers, 1 customer, 3 customer, 1 salesman is okay with that. But what if you have, I basically like this particular kind of a saying before I go ahead, like everything fails at all the time. So plan for the failure and nothing fails. What we do is we plan always for success. That if we do this, we will succeed. Nobody plans for if we don't do it, right? So certain movies, one of the movie I was seeing where one of the parent, one of the child who had a pressure from the parent, that and the parent always used to tell the person that if you clear IIT, you will get, I will buy you this. I will buy you your bike of your choice or something. So automatically there was indirect pressure on the child. And when the child didn't clear the IIT, the child committed suicide. And the parents said one thing which I really like. They said that, I have failed in my parenting by not telling my son or my daughter that if you succeed, what we will do. Uh, if you succeed, we will do this. I didn't tell them that if you don't succeed, what we should do. So this is one thing which is very important. In other words, that many proactive company always plan for both. If we succeed, what happens? If we don't succeed, if we fail, what should we do? So they plan for failure also. Those are proactive. So let's say now your customer is increased, your demand is increased. Can one person serve everybody? Then the customer will have to have a long waiting period, and the customers will become very agitated. You will also have a customer like this. I like the scene from English to English where Sri Devi went to in a US restaurant and she doesn't know what to order and she was confused. And there's a huge queue. And you can see the receptionist and the sales counter girl was really irritated. And the customer has to run. And the other customer on the back of the seat, on the back of the line, they were also agitated. In this case, what we do? If you have multiple customers, not only multiple servers or the waiters you want, you also want multiple people to create that food. You will take order, but only one chef is there. How many orders he can create? It will deliver delay in the giving. Taking order will be fast, delivering the order will be very slow. So you need to have enough number of servers or enough number of people to serve the client. Same model is applied with EC2, that you can auto scale and you can do whatever number of people your business is becoming really high, or it is a full season, you will have more number of services or server dedicated to you by EC2. You have less number of business, or you have a very low business, then you have less number of people. So you can scale as you want in EC2. Okay. So this is what EC2 does. It's a virtual machine. As I said, you can create instances. So I'm just going to show you now, students. So just give me a few seconds. I'll take you to the Amazon Web Service, and show you that. So I don't know how many of you have, but this free trial services, they will take the detail of your card, but they will hold only 2 rupees in your card for 1 year. And in 1 year, you can actually use a lot of things. I'll just go to AWS. And what I've done is I've just created an account, registered for it. And this is a AWS thing. And you can see all kind of services, what they have. They have all kind of services. So they have analytics, application integrated, AR, VR, everything is there. Main service is compute. If you see in compute, you have EC2, which is I was talking about. You have Lambda, which is also widely used. You have light sales, where you can have your virtual private servers. Okay, that is also virtual. Light sale is also used by the people to create virtual machine, which is anonymous, so that other people, they can keep their work secure and little anonymous. Then you have developer tools. These are very useful for you all. If you want to develop a particular software, you require certain developer tools like all these kinds. And all these developer tool you can find out on EC2, AWS. If you want to develop games, so you have that platform which can help you in developing that app. Internet of Things, machine learning, AI, all kinds of technology, robotics. Then this is storage. So main is storage and compute EC2. So let's go to EC2. Then you have blockchain also. So we'll go to EC2 here. So it's a virtual server in the cloud. So I'm just going to show you how we can create that server in the cloud. So I've already logged in. If you can see that, as I told that, I'm using Amazon EC2 source in Asia Pacific Mumbai region. So what I've done is basically I have created EC2. If you can see here, this is a region. I have all these regions here. I have selected out of that Mumbai. Not necessary. You can select California also. So this is where I can select any region, and I've already logged in, so that's why it is in my dashboard. And you can see the services over here. I will get a IP address also for my server, and I can have a dedicated host for me. At present, I'm running 2 instances. So suppose if I have to configure a new instance, so I will go here and click on launch instances. I'm creating a virtual machine now. So now the first thing in that is that when you are running, you are creating a virtual machine of certain hardware configuration. So I'm using a free tier service. It will give me certain free services and 750 yards. I've taken a basic. So 750 yards of free service, and they will not charge me for certain free tier service which is available. High end I can't take. I have to pay for that. So I'm just giving a name here. So I'll just give a name, Kionix. Okay. And then here, this is called Amazon Machine Image. Machine Image is AMI, is a template which will allow you to configure your software requirement, your operating system requirement, your application server application you want to launch on the instances. Okay. So you can search here, or what you can do is, these are the recent one which is listed over here. You can see all kind is there. You have Ubuntu also, you have Microsoft Windows. Let's say I'm using now Mac. So I will use Microsoft operating system. So it is showing me here what are the Mac operating system machine, virtual machine I can use in free of cost. So I have all these kinds. You can see all configuration virtual disk machines are available. So I have used this now. It's a 64-bit Mac, and this is the ID, you know, the Amazon image ID, machine ID, which I have. So I can create an instance type, so that I will just leave it. So I have instant type. If I go here, I can just select anything. I've selected this now, where I can select Mac 1 with 12 CPU and 32 GIB memory. So I can select anything from here, but I have just selected the free one so that I'm not charged for it. And then it asks me to use a key pair to security connect to this. I'm creating a virtual machine with certain configuration, and I want this machine to be used only by me or by some people. So I have to create a key. Key means password. Okay. So what I'll do is I will select a key. I have already created a key here, and I've given, the name for that. So I will use that. Or otherwise, I will just go ahead and create a new key. That also I can do it here. Or otherwise, I will just use the already made key, which is done. So this is one thing. Now I go for a network configuration setting. So what kind of network I want? So I don't want any kind of a particular subnet and all those things. I will just take an auto assign public IP, whatever Amazon is assigning. If I want, I can just leave it by default. I don't have to worry much about it. Then I go to firewall. What kind of security? See, a very important thing in the world of internet is security. That whatever work I am doing, is it secure? I don't want any third party and unauthorized people to look into my work and see what I'm doing. So they give me a firewall. So I can create a security group where I can just, use all these kinds of, configure all these, or I can select an existing. If I've already created, I will select. So you can see it is already created something called Launch Wizard 3. I've given a name, right? See here. So this is already a name, or I can use a default one. So Launch Wizard 1, if I'm using it, right? So what it will do is I will just remove it. So I will see here the security type, security ID, type, protocol, all those kinds, right? So I can create a security group here, and in that I will allow. So I've already created a security group. I will say that whether I want to allow a custom or a certain IP address. What I can do is I can configure the IP address of my employee and restrict the access to this particular virtual machine to that particular IP address. So the computers whose IP address I put, I will restrict the access to this virtual machine only by those computers. I can go ahead and do that, or I can keep it anywhere. That from anywhere, any computer machine can access this virtual machine. I'm giving that priority. I can even allow HTTPS, which is more secure with SSL, or I can say that no, I'm not very particular about SSL. I may go for HTTP traffic also. So at present, by default, I'll just keep SSH traffic from anywhere. So this is a rule which is done, and they give you recommendation also. Now, what kind of storage I want? At present, they are giving me 100 GIB, which is enough for me. If I want, I can increase that. I can increase it to any number, or I can decrease it. Okay, all those I can do it. So free tier is eligible for 30 GB of EBS. Okay, so that I am using, which is SSD. Okay, you all know about all these kinds of things. So I have see here in my free tier in the first year, I get 750 hours of this machine, which is free of cost. They are not going to charge me anything from that. I'm just paying 2 rupees to them. So once this is done, I will launch the instance. So my virtual machine is now connected. They want few more information now. I've not given all the information to them. So these are advanced information like request, select the domain if you want a domain. So I don't want. So if I want a particular profile, I can select. I'm not doing all these kinds. So auto recovery, termination, and all these kinds of services they want because I've used a certain category. So I'm just going to go to my instances now. Now you can see that these are the instances which I have created, and it will show me the state. It will show me the name which I have given. Okay, can go and edit that also. And this is the instant ID which they have given it to me, and it is running now. That means they have already created this machine for me, and it is already passed the check whatever I have to set up. This is the region in which it is available, and this is the IP address. So what I can go ahead is I can go ahead and I can run this at present. So what I have to do is I can just go here, click on this. I can stop the instance anytime. At present, these are all running, and these are all free tier. But always remember, whenever you are not using any instances, you have to just go and stop that. Or you can terminate the instances. Because if you are paying for that particular instances and you're not using it, so in that case, still you will get charged. So you can go and stop the instances anytime. You can take your action where you can manage the settings, securities, like you can set up a password and all those kinds of things. And then you can go ahead with the connect part. Okay. Here it is not connected because I need certain kind of a configuration to be done. Otherwise, and I need to go for a certain kind of a session manager's configuration. Otherwise, when I click on connect, it will take me to a desktop of my virtual machine, which will have the hardware which I requested. And on my own desktop, I will be accessing a virtual machine on Amazon server. And that virtual machine hardware is my hardware only. But I am virtually accessing the hardware of Amazon, cloud services, whatever I have configured. I can use the software there through this laptop itself, which is a simple computer. So this is how students, you can do that. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow I'm going to take a session on S3. Now S3 is a very, very important service because S3 is widely used, which is storage. And this S3 storage is used. I will also tell you that how can you scale and store and migrate your data. I will also like to you people to know something. You can go ahead if you are really interested. And this is really very interesting, because what happens is that you have a exam which I already mentioned to you, and that exam is called Amazon Web Certification. So you can go to this particular site which I will show you. It's called Amazon Skill Builder. Okay, I'll just show you that. So this is already, I have signed in into it. I have done this courses already. You can just log in with your Amazon ID to the skill builder, and it is just free of cost. Okay. This is a training and certification. Once you do this course, you will actually get a certification and you will be a certified Amazon Web Service certified professional. And then definitely you have a more opportunity for jobs. Okay. And this is free of cost. They don't charge you. I think for taking exam, they may charge you some money, and you can go for this. One very good thing which they added now, and I was going through this, I've already completed this. You can see that this is in progress. Okay. And this is before exam, they give you mock test. You can, all these are free of cost. Okay. And at the end, you will get a question, this thing. So now I will show you this Amazon AWS cloud. So they have a beautiful, what you call a gaming platform. And what this gaming platform does, I will just show you a glimpse of that. It is so interesting. Through game, you can actually learn the AWS. So any one of you want to learn AWS through gamification, you can learn. It's called Amazon, AWS Quest. So I'll just show you a little bit, a glimpse of that. It's very interesting that how in a gamification is a big way today for training students. So it is initializing the game now. I have left the game at certain portion. So it will start from there only. It won't go from the first. The first part of the game is you create your avatar, like any gaming. You create your avatar by choosing whatever face or whatever way you want yourself to be looked at. And then it will take you to a city. It will give you a situation. It has given me a situation of a company who want to migrate their data. Okay. And so I'm just going to here start. You can see that. So it's loading a city for me. And then it will give me up that. So you can see that this is the gaming data here. So I have so I've given a name here. Okay. And this is level 1 game. And there will be a kind of a situation or problem which will come, which you have to face. So I'll take a, continue with a VR if I want. So you see now, this is the video concept is also there. You can just go through the video concept, which I will explain you tomorrow. Amazon S3 services. So this is a situation that I have to migrate my existing website, which is a static website, on Amazon S3 to improve my web application. So this is the process. If I go here, I can just see. So there is a video also on this. Which
Amazon
runs.
S3 overview. Object. Buckets are containers for objects stored
So
in
this
S3.
I will teach you tomorrow.
An object is uniquely identified within a bucket by a key. The object named photo/.
Okay, so here I am. It basically gives me an overview and it teaches me how to go about it. There is an island resident and there's an island portal, and they are my client. They're asking me to migrate their website to the Amazon S3 bucket. S3 is a storage bucket. Everything is stored. So all their file, all their data I have to store, which are called object. And everything what we store, we create a bucket, like how we create instances in for creating a virtual machine. Similarly, for S3, we create bucket. Okay. So somehow we do that, and it basically allow me to, through the gaming, it will explain me how do I do that process. So I request all the students, it is very, very interesting. Go to Amazon, web skill, what you call the Amazon skill builder. This is Amazon skill builder. Connect it. If you have an Amazon account, connect it with that, and then go through the course. Like, this is my dashboard. You'll get a dashboard like this, where you can sign for a course which is free of cost. You can do this. This is a Amazon Cloud Practitioner Essential. So when you go to this particular thing, see, I will just resume from where I stopped. You can see this. The content is getting loaded. So they have around 9 modules. I have just completed 11% of it. I was not getting time to complete. It has so many things in that. Once you complete, there will be a final assessment. There will be exam. Once you give the exam, see here, this is the exam. This exam is, you become an Amazon AWS certified cloud practitioner. And believe me, students, there's a lot of value for this. Lot of value. So what I suggest you is, all of you do this course, take your own. You can complete this in your own pace of time. You don't have to complete in a particular time period. After that, it is lapsing. You complete this program, give this exam, learn through gamification. Amazon gives you a lot of flexibility. If you don't like to read, if you don't like to watch, these are the videos which are there. If
so
you
we
don't want
solved
to,
the
these are
scaling
very
problem
interesting
with
videos.
Amazon EC2
So
auto scaling.
if you don't want
Now
to watch this videos, you can just read the content which is available. You can see here, all those contents are available. If you don't like that, you can go ahead and play the game. All these three things, when you complete, and you can write the exam and you can pass, and knowledge as well as the certification helps you in boosting your profile. So this is what I want you all to do it. If you really want to make your career anywhere, Amazon Web Service is one of the must skill you all should have. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. I want to ask you people, if you have any doubts, we can do this. Or if there is any kind of a confusion you have, or anything which you have not understood. Because today I've explained you about EC2, how to create virtual machine. And I've shown you also how you can create and run that. So tomorrow I'm going to talk something which individually, not for business, but individual purpose. If you want to store some of your file securely in some place where without a fear of losing that data, you can use S3 service or storage service. You don't have to pay much about it. Okay. Yeah. So any question? No question? Okay, so before ending, I just have one more thing to do, which I will show you. Just a minute. I have one video to share with you on Amazon EC2 service. I want you all to watch this.
Hi all, welcome back. Welcome to the series Getting Started with EC2. I hope you already completed the first series, that is setting up your AWS account, because if you want to do an hands-on lab here, you would need your AWS account. So in this lecture, we are going to see.
Okay, fine, not this one.
Hello and welcome back. In this video, we are going to continue our play about EC2. Again, I want to reiterate that the concepts I just want to make this point provide a frame of reference aspects related to the AWS resources such as EC2, RDS, and Amazon S3 to power their website. Now, I'm using Netflix because it is probably one of the most well-known websites in the world. And I assume that most of you either have a Netflix account, use Netflix on a regular basis, or at least somewhat aware of what Netflix is. But if you aren't, just understand that Netflix is probably right now the world's #1 provider of video content, streaming video content. And they are AWS's #1 customer or user of cloud resources. Now, specifically how Netflix utilizes and uses AWS, again, this is a drastic oversimplification of how Netflix actually uses AWS. They use a lot more than just these 3 services. So as mentioned earlier, in this particular video, we're going to talk specifically about Amazon EC2. So right now, let's just get rid of those other 2 and focus specifically on Amazon EC2 and what EC2 is. So Amazon EC2 is short for Elastic Cloud Compute, but don't worry about remembering that right now. All you need to know is conceptually what EC2 is and what it does. So when you talk about EC2, what I want you to do is just think about a basic computer. That's basically what EC2 is. It's the virtual equivalent of the computer that is currently sitting in front of you. Again, that is a drastic oversimplification, but in terms of the concept, that's essentially what it is. So what does a basic computer have, right? It has a CPU for processing power, an operating system, in AWS's case, either Linux or Windows. It has a hard drive or local storage, a network card, how it can access the internet, as a firewall for security, and RAM to access and run programs. However, in terms of AWS, I don't want you to actually think about a base computer. I want you to think about a server computer, because generally AWS is used by enterprise companies, and generally they're using these computers or this compute power as servers. So now I want to introduce another piece of cloud terminology called instance. So a lot of times in AWS, an EC2 server will be referred to as an EC2 instance. So you will hear terms like provision an EC2 instance or spin up an EC2 instance. So if you hear instance, just think server. When you hear instance or server, just think EC2. And if that is still a little unclear to you, you can always just think about EC2 as a basic computer, right? It just has these components, and then you can do with it whatever you would like. So now, how does Netflix specifically use EC2? So when you go to www.netflix.com, you come to their homepage and you would see something that looks exactly like this. So in essence, what the Amazon EC2 instance is doing is it's acting as a server or a web hosting server. So when you go to www.netflix.com as a user, so you're here, you have an internet connection, you go to www.netflix.com, you are in essence connecting to an Amazon EC2 instance, which is currently serving as a web hosting server. And that EC2 instance contains all the files and the code to give you this page. So that is one of the main features and functions of an Amazon EC2 instance in the world of Netflix, or in most of the internet as a whole, is it acts as a web hosting server. It contains all of the files and code needed to display a web page to any particular user that visits their site. Okay, so again, let's quickly recap. I want you to think of EC2 as a virtual computer that you can use for whatever you like. One of the common uses of that is as a web hosting server. Also, we introduced the cloud term instance, which is another way of referring to an EC2 server. So what's next? Next, we're going to talk about what happens when you actually go to sign in and put your credentials into netflix.com. So with that, we will conclude this video. Thank you for watching. You may now move on.
So let's see what
Hello
happens.
and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to continue our introduction to AWS, this time circling back around to EC2 for what I'm calling EC2 Part 2. Again, and I'm sorry I keep having to reiterate this, but I just want to make extra clear for anybody that is viewing this video without viewing previous videos that what I'm doing here is providing a high-level introduction to Amazon for the purpose of avoiding any deep tech that we're talking about. Netflix So when we left off last time, we were talking about Netflix and how Netflix utilizes Amazon EC2, Amazon RDS, and Amazon S3. And we talked about how Amazon uses EC2 for web hosting. They use RDS or other AWS database services for things like customer account information and inventory catalog, and how they would also use something like Amazon S3 as the mass storage service for all of the video files for all of the movies and TV shows that they would like to stream to their customers. So now I want to talk about what actually happens when you hit play on one of the movies or TV episodes on Netflix. And so generally what happens here is this is, again, where EC2 comes back into play. Now, if you remember, I described EC2 as a computer that has a processor that has processing power. So that is generally one of the main things that Amazon EC2 is used for, is anything that requires computer processing, right? As opposed to something like Amazon E3, which is for storage, or a database, which is for organizing information. Amazon EC2 is for things that need compute power. So when somebody hits play on Netflix, what occurs is that the Netflix code has to go to S3, find that particular television show or movie, pull that file, and then on the Amazon EC2 instance, they're going to either encode or transcode that movie or that piece of data so that it is ready to be sent across the internet down to the user so it can be viewed on their device. So encoding or transcoding video, again, is very processor intensive. And so it requires something like an EC2 server in order to accomplish that task. So again, just to recap, as this is a very quick video, Amazon EC2 is good for any type of processing activity. So whether that's web hosting, whether it's an encoding, transcoding, whether it's something that is graphically intensive, whether it's something that there's a lot of mathematical equations going on, anything that needs general basic processing, EC2 is the solution that you're looking for. So coming up next, we're actually going to leave the VPC AWS services sphere, and we're going to take a look more in a large scale of AWS, and especially take a look at this map and start to talk about their global infrastructure, right? How are they set up from the 35,000 foot view? And then we'll kind of take that view and drill back down to the VPC to kind of bring everything around full circle. And I just want to make a quick note that this image is provided specifically by Amazon with the image source link at the bottom. And with that, we will conclude this video. Thank you for watching. You may now move on. Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to continue our introduction to AWS, this time focusing on its global infrastructure, meaning we're going to talk about how physically AWS is set up and deployed around the globe. As per usual, here's my disclaimer about this course and these videos being a high-level introduction using oversimplification of concepts to create a frame of reference. So again, everything that I'm sharing here is being deliberately oversimplified only to convey a general understanding and knowledge of the topics that we are currently talking about. So at the end of the previous video, I gave a sneak peek of this map. And what this map is it is a map which shows the locations of all of the AWS regions. So what are AWS regions? So each region is a geographical area that is a collection of AWS availability zones and data centers. So just to give you an idea of why there's all of these regions spread out across the world is specifically this. If somebody is in Tokyo and they're using AWS and they want to provision and use an EC2 instance, they want to be able to launch that EC2 instance on physical hardware that is in a data center in Tokyo, because they want that physical hardware to be close so there's a lot less latency while transmitting data. Whereas if they had to provision and use an EC2 instance, say that was in North Virginia, any data that they were to send back and forth would have to travel halfway around the world and back, thus taking a lot more time and having a lot more transmission latency. So AWS, to be fair to all of their customers around the world and to provide the absolute best performance, has put regions and data centers and physical hardware all around the globe. There's currently 11 active consumer-based regions, with one government-based region being the AWS GovCloud. And then there is also four new regions which are currently under development at the time of this recording, which is in September of 2016. So now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in on one of these regions to see what's going on. So let's hypothetically say we are zooming in here on the North Virginia region. So once we zoom into an AWS region, we see that it is made up of availability zones. Now, each region may have a different number of availability zones, but for this example, let's say that this particular region has 3 availability zones. Now, what is an availability zone? Availability zone is actually a geographical physical location that holds an AWS data center. So now we've zoomed into an availability zone, and there is where we see the physical hardware, the physical data center, where all of the AWS resources and any data or information that.
Okay. So we stop here. Just a minute. So we stop here, and if there is any question, I can take that. Otherwise, if you want, we can wind it off. Any question is there? Okay, ma'am, then we can wind off now.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, students.
Thank you, ma'am.